Hi, I'm Mark, and this is my journey through tarot. So, today I thought I would try a different deck and show you how I received it in the nice presentation box that came in, and tell you just a little bit about the designer. And then the main event, though, today is Elaine Chao. So I did look up a little bit on Wikipedia about her, and it's about a couple of pages here. I'm going to try something different, and rather than read from the page, I'm going to try to read from the screen while I've reduced this image of myself here. So we'll see if that works out. You'll know, because I'll tape right through it. And so first of all, I'll tell you a little bit about Barbara Moore. Now, I was using the Pamela Coleman Smith deck that I talked about in my last video, but we're going to leave that one behind today. But I will just show you the back again, just to make sure that you know who I'm talking about. This one. So that's the Rider-Waite Centennial featuring Pamela Coleman Smith art, more true to her actual paintings. So let's see if I can reduce this screen and start to tell you about Barbara Moore. So I looked this up on the internet. I actually got this off of her bio page for Llewellyn cards, and this is how this came to me. So it's a nice package of and inside here, and I'll show you as a matter of fact, inside is a nice book, and then beyond that we have the cards, which of course we'll take out and use. Nice little magnetic snap. That's cool. The back of these cards is beautiful. So that's how they look. And there's no way on these cards that you can tell what's up or down from the back. So there's no cheating on your intuition there. And then of course all these cards come with books. Some of them are tiny little leaflets, white paper pamphlets that come in the box, and others are quite illustrated, lovely books that really give you a lot to know about their cards, and the artist and the designer's idea for the cards, and then of course the artist, who in this case is Eugene Smith, and I looked him up too. And so I'll tell you what I know. Let me make a note to tell you about Eugene Smith, because I will forget if I don't. It's just a short thing, but if I can tell you now, he's an illustrator who lives in Chicago but originally from California, and has done all sorts of incredible illustrations, as you can tell just from his work on these cards. So, and anything from corporate advertising pieces, or different tarot decks, and all sorts of art. You can look him up on the web. It's Eugene Smith, Illustrator. You'll see you'll find his webpage there. But Barbara Moore, apparently, for Llewellyn cards, is who had the idea behind this deck, and several others, as a matter of fact. And so here's a short bio about Barbara Moore. So it said here on her page, at a party, well, let me read from the computer like I'm supposed to, and you'll think I'm talking to you, right? Yeah. Okay, so apparently at a party somebody put a deck, a tarot deck, in Barbara's hands. She's held tight ever since, this says. Her life has been a crazy quilt of experiences: beauty school dropout, theater geek, stay-at-home wife, history student, editor, academic, Catholic, fundamentalist, Christian, Methodist, nothing, everything, pagan, shaman, wild Sufi, and tarot helps her make sense of the eclectic soup that has been her life, this says. It says here, we're not pondering the meaning of life. Barbara plays with tarot cards, writes books, designs decks, and teaches. She's been Llewellyn's tarot acquisitions editor, plus or minus 20 years, and bringing new tarot decks and books to life. She lives in Potter Valley, California with her wife Dylan, loves cake, art supplies, summer, traveling, and good books. I wish she was my neighbor. She sounds like a nice person. And then, so that's what that is. And so I'll do a 3-card draw on her, just because we're talking about her, and I've got the cards out, and then we'll put the laptop back up, and I'll tell you about Elaine Chao. So here it goes. Down. That creaking that you hear, I realize that you hear, is this laptop has some hinges back there on each side that of course allow it to come down, and they have the same plastic on them from when it was new, and I can't get the darn plastic off. I've tried. I mean, I don't want to scratch the metal of the hinges, so I've tried to gently kind of coax the plastic away, but it just seems like more of an effort than it's really worth. But these cards are beautiful, and I haven't used them for a while, so I took them out earlier, and I've been fiddling with them, shuffling them back and forth, doing a few little mini reads if something came to mind while I'm walking around here in the house. And so Barbara Moore of Llewellyn Cards. Let's see, let's do 3 cards and see what they seem to indicate about Barbara Moore. Barbara Moore, Llewellyn Cards. And I have to tell you, I didn't think I was going to do this, so this is off the cuff. The first card is going to be the 3 of Cups. And the 3 of Cups, you know, is celebrations. And these 3 women look like they're having a terrific time. And I'll bet Barbara Moore is a terrific collaborator. So here's that. We'll say that's the signifier of the reading. The next card I have here, the 7 of Swords. Ooh, you know, this makes me feel guilty, actually. So the 7 of Swords is, swords are truth and justice or health, and the 7 of Swords, in this case, is kind of, you know, lends itself to thievery, or maybe doing something you shouldn't do, or trying to get away with something you shouldn't get away with. Notice that there's 2 swords really at the top of the tent here, really kind of guarding the way, but this fella has managed to abscond with 5 of them, or is trying to. So for whatever reason, that's in Barbara Moore's past. And then the last card is going to be the Chariot. So the Chariot. And now the Chariot talks about moving things on, or trying to guide your way. You know, this person has to kind of take these 2 Sphinx and who want to go in different directions, or don't want to go at the same time, and make things move forward. So I would say that's a creative person's major obstacle in life, is trying to get all the elements of their project together and putting it forward at the right time, at the right speed for success. This 7 of Swords, though, I tell you, it just makes me feel like I feel guilty, because I went on that website and took that information. I didn't quote it verbatim, but I did steal it. So I wonder if I didn't creep into this reading a little bit, because I am feeling a little guilty about that. But I'll leave that up to you. You decide. I've got these 3 more cards for Barbara Moore. I've got the 3 of Cups, which is cups are emotion and passion. And these 3 women are having a wonderful time in that beautiful setting. 7 of Swords, which I think is my guilty conscience. And can I get them all in there? Yeah. And then the Chariot. So I think I did pretty good. I'm actually scrunched up trying to look under this laptop. So that's Barbara Moore. Now I'm going to put them back in randomly. We'll shuffle them again for Elaine Chao, who I'm going to speak to you about right now. So let's close Barbara Moore's document and see if I can find Elaine Chao. So I did find Elaine Chao, and that document is here on my computer. I'm reading it from that screen, and I hope that looks as if I'm speaking to you, because I am speaking to you. It just, you know, you're not here right now. You will be here. I'm very confident of that. But anyway, here we go. Elaine Chao. So she's a businesswoman, a politician. Now this is just from Wikipedia, so you know how accurate this is, who knows. It's kind of open source kind of thing, but I'll tell you what I found out. Elaine Chao, businesswoman, politician, born March 26, 1953. She's an Aries. And then to tell you a little bit about Aries, which I also looked up on the internet, Aries, the first zodiac sign, and it says they typically think of themselves as such, as the first. Leaders, first in line. Now whether everything gets done is another matter. The thing says. I don't say, the thing says. They initiate rather than complete. But if your project needs a kickstart, call an Aries. Their leadership is impressive, rallying the troops against insurmountable odds. Real personal magnetism is a trait. They won't shy away from new ground and seem to be the pioneers of the zodiac, fearlessly trekking into the unknown, winning the day, a bundle of energy and dynamism, an actual Pied Piper, leading people with charm, charisma. It's a bliss to be an Aries, but honestly, it sounds exhausting. So that's Aries. Now we'll get on to who she is as a person, and this is long. So I'll read through it. Maybe I'll edit it before I post it, and you won't know, but maybe you will know because I just said that. We'll see how it works out. And Elaine Chao. So Elaine Chao was born in Taipei, Taiwan, actually. She immigrated to the U.S. at the age of 8 with her mom, Ruth Mulan Chu Chao, a historian, and 2 sisters at that time. Eventually, she was the eldest of 6 girls. Raised on Long Island and naturalized as a U.S. citizen, finally at the age of 19. She received degrees from Mount Holyoke College and Harvard Business School. Now, the engine of that family, though, is her dad. That's James S.C. Chao, who was a merchant mariner. And I happen to know something about merchant marines, but merchant mariners move cargo and passengers between nations and within the United States. They operate and maintain deep-sea merchant ships, which is what my familiarity with that is. And they're like the semi-truck trailer people of the sea. But their vehicles are tugboats, towboats, ferries, dredges, excursion vessels, charter boats, and other waterborne craft on the oceans, the Great Lakes, the rivers, the canals, the harbors, and other waterways. So, now as a personal note, like I said, my dad was a merchant seaman, and he was a chief steward on merchant ships and made lots of trips back and forth and around the world throughout his life. He started when he was a young man and worked until he couldn't work anymore, and then retired. But I also have a friend that was on a tugboat that towed barges between San Francisco and Hawaii. So merchant mariners, span a broad spectrum of jobs and everything it takes to run a ship, because it's like a little hotel, really. Even though you see cargo stacked up on top, there's a whole bunch of people that live on that ship while that cargo's going back and forth, and they have to be fed and cleaned up after, and repairs have to be made, and people have to be made well, and all those things. So anyway, back to Elaine Chao. So we'll go to 1949. I promise I'll get through this quick. It won't last forever. So her mom and dad relocated separately during the Chinese Civil War, but then married and I guess met, and then married in Shanghai, Taiwan during World War II. They married in 1950. Her father arrived in New York after receiving a scholarship in 1958, and in 1961, 3 years later, Elaine came to the U.S. on a 37-day freight ship journey, like I was just talking about, freight ships, with her mom, and then only 2 sisters. They only were 3 children in the 2 in the family at that time. So in 1958, her dad comes to New York because he gets a scholarship, and in 1961, 3 years later, the kids and mom come over. So, 1964, Dad founded a shipping company. Wow, that was fast. Foremost Maritime Corporation in New York, which eventually became a major shipping corporation and later developed into the Foremost Group, which eventually he was the chairman of and succeeded by Elaine's sister, Angela. So very successful. So that's where I guess the money comes from in that family. And that's what immigrants do. They bring their skill, their talents and over here and make a good life and create jobs for all of us. Anyway, so that was 1964. In 1975, she received a bachelor's degree in economics from Mount Holyoke College in South Hadley, Massachusetts. And in 1979, she studied money and banking at Dartmouth College. and received an MBA from Harvard Business School. 1983 was granted a White House Fellowship, and what that is, a White House Fellowship offers exceptional emerging leaders first-hand experience working at the highest levels of the federal government. Selected individuals typically spend a year working as a full-time paid fellow to White House senior staff, cabinet secretaries, and other top-ranking government officials. So, more about poor Elaine. Where did we leave off in our saga here? So the paid fellow to senior White House staff, yeah. So 1984 to 1986, in case you didn't realize it, I had to pause the video because I was being summoned outside of the room. So anyway, so 1984 to 1986, she was vice president of syndications, wow, that was fast, at Bank of America and an international banker at Citicorp. I guess probably one after the other, I would imagine. Then years later, she received between $1 to $5 million as compensation for her service on the board of Wells Fargo. So just like her dad, chip off the old block. 1986, she was deputy administrator of the Maritime Administration in the U.S. Department of Transportation, and I bet her dad was crazy about that. And 1988 to 1989, she was chairman of the Federal Maritime Commission. So Elaine is a busy, busy lady. 1989 to 1991, President Bush nominated Chao as Deputy Secretary of Transportation. And then from 1991 to 1992, she was Director of the Peace Corps. Good grief. 92 to 96, she was President of the United Way and attributed with returning credibility and public trust to the organization after a previous president of United Way, which I remember this vaguely, was accused of financial mismanagement, and it was a big scandal. So now, 2001 to 2009, in the Bush administration, she was Secretary of Labor. And then 2008, now in 2008, the Government Accountability Office noted that the Labor Department, remember she was in charge of the Department of Labor, gave Congress inaccurate numbers understating the expense of contracting out employees' work to private firms. During her tenure, I'm not sure. Let's read on. 2009, an internal audit stated that OSHA employees had failed to gather needed data, conducted uneven inspections regarding an Occupational Safety and Health Administration, which that's OSHA, initiative that was focused on problematic workplaces over the previous 6 years. Also, the Government Accountability Office regarding OSHA mining regulation enforcement said they had failed to discern repeat fatalities because records had misspelled some companies' names or failed to notice when two subsidiaries with the same owner were involved. Also noted was that after some rules changes, in 2008, the number of targeted companies declined by almost half. So that's like changing the rules halfway through the game. So now we'll win because we won't count that anymore. I'm going to guess. I don't know. I guess I'm cynical. 2010, the Washington Post wrote that her Labor Department was widely criticized for walking away from its regulatory function across a range of issues, including wage and hour law and workplace safety. In 2017, she was sworn in as U.S. Secretary of Transportation on January 31st. And on January 7, 2021, the day after the seditious, my word, storming of the U.S. Capitol, Elaine Chao submitted a resignation effective January 11, 2021. Her 2-page resignation letter had just one sentence mentioning the Capitol riots. So that's our busy beaver, Elaine Chao. And she was a busy beaver. So what I'll do now is I'm going to shuffle the cards. We're going to do a Celtic cross, and let's face it, probably a full Celtic cross on Elaine Chao. Just, you know, she's out of government. My God, she's probably already running 6 or 7 other companies by now. And see how she's feeling, what she's doing. And it looks like she's the financial engine. I'm going to guess. in that company. So here we go. I'll put the laptop down. We're at 20 minutes already. Jeez. Okay, here we go. A little shuffle, a little dance, a little seltzer down your pants. Isn't that what they used to say? A little song, a little dance. So I've been shuffling these cards all day, and we'll just do some more shuffling here. And these are the same cards we just used to talk about Barbara Moore, and they're great cards. I mean, they follow the Rider-Waite ideology, I guess you could call it, or iconography. And so they're easy to read, even though they're different depictions than the Coleman Smith cards. You know, whenever they start getting hard to shuffle like that, I think the cards are telling me that we're just about done. That's how I look at it anyway. So we'll do a little bit of this. No, you're not coming out just yet. We're just going to shuffle these cards and make them nice and mixed up. And then we'll shuffle them the other way, because, as you know, it's nice to see. You know what? There was somebody in there upside down. I'm sure of it. Let's find that. That just bugs me, because I'm just not confident enough with my description of reverse cards to read an upside down card. So when that happens, I'll have to use clarifiers to say what does that card really mean. But anyway, so we'll do a little shuffle here. There was no upside down card. I think I was just looking in the laptop and it confused me. I'm like a dog chasing a squirrel. I mean, another squirrel runs by and I'm, huh? What was that? Which way am I going? So here we are. Elaine Chao resigned from 45's administration, and what's her experience right now? Elaine Chao. So we'll do, aren't these nice? So we're going to do 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I like that. We'll do the other 4 later. This might be a disaster, and we don't even want to do 4 more. Or it might be so incredibly clear. What's the point, right? So I want to leave these a little bit in frame, so you know that they're there. And we're going to take these cards, as I always say, and deal them down right from the top. And the first card will be the signifier for Elaine Chao. How's she feeling right now? My goodness, 9 of Wands. Is there anybody in this political scenario that's not feeling beat up like crazy? So this fella, you know, he's leaning on that wand, and he's got all those other wands behind him, which I'm going to say are kind of support for him. So it looks like she's led until she just, it's so exhausted. I won't say she can't lead anymore, but she's really exhausted. The challenge to that 9 of Wands then is going to be a 4 of Wands. You know, these cards are, well, that's crazy. Anyway, so 4 of Wands is our celebrations, and these folks are having a good time and bountiful, and so it looks like, you know, I always say this is a small celebration. I would say that her challenge has always been what maybe to her small celebrations, to the rest of us would be life-changing successes throughout her career. But celebrations with Elaine Chao. You know, there's just 2 women in this card. In the other cards I've had a man and a woman, or maybe that is a fellow, I can't tell. Is the blue person a man or a woman with long hair, or a man with long hair? And the brown-haired person seems to me to be a woman. I wonder if this could be Elaine and Mitch, because he's certainly, even though he's a powerful person, I bet you she runs the roost in that household. So these little celebrations are a challenge to a tired, you know, when you are exhausted, the last thing you want to do is to go to a party. You come home and, honey, we got this thing we need to go to, and you say, okay, let's do it. And you just really don't want to. But anyway, so that's the challenge, signifier challenge. And the base of the reading then is going to be, ooh, the moon card, secrets revealed. You know, the cards I've pulled for folks involved with this administration and this government have just been these cards, it seems like. But Secrets Revealed is the base of this reading. My goodness. The near past is the Ace of Swords. So we've got a very strong offer of justice, truth, seeking victory up here. I mean, just pushed up out of the clouds and coming forward full force. So I say that's the near past. So this seems to be like maybe this is a redeeming quality of Elaine Chao. And I have to admit, I wasn't wanting to see a redeeming quality. The sky, and the sky for Elaine Chao is the star. Completely appropriate. The star knows how to balance emotions, worldly things that are going on. There's a lot of plentiful and bright and amazing future in this card. So Elaine Chao up in the sky, as is appropriate, is the star. And then the final card for this six card layout of the Celtic Cross is the Hierophant. And again, perfectly appropriate. So the near future is the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is usually represents power or a structured a framework to work within, like a church or the Pope or the government. So that's the Hierophant, and that's the near future of this layout. So now, just to get to more detail about Elaine, and let's face it, that's what she was. She's been in government. She's been in very successful and very structured situations, and maybe she's going into something else again. She has a lot of spirit, and it looks like she's not ready to stop. What is going on right now for Elaine Chao? Judgment, and I couldn't say it better. Of course, anyone involved in this government that's going out right now is under big scrutiny by us, and so judgment is. And remember, Pete Buttigieg is stepping into the job she just stepped out of. So if there's anything untoward, I'm sure he'll know about it. The environment that she's in is the Page of Cups. Now remember, cups are emotions, passion, and the page, I like to think of the court cards, because you've got the pip cards 1 through 10, and then 11, 12, 13, 14 are the court cards, where the page is bringing information to the court. And so he's the first of the court cards. And this guy, look, he's got a surprise in that cup. So the environment of this judgment is surprises maybe coming to the front. Hopes and the fears for Elaine Chao right now. Oh my goodness. So 5 of Pentacles, being left out in the cold. And I would imagine that's her fear anytime, being left out in the cold. She's so driven, has become so successful from the very start. I would imagine this is what drives her all the time. But her hopes and fears are being left outside of the warmth and the security of all the good stuff that's inside here. Hopes and fears. The final outcome for Elaine Chao is the Hermit. Wow. So the Hermit of the Major Arcana, he is introspection, shining light on a situation, reflecting on your past, learning from what you've done. He's holding on to that staff, those wands, and really trudging forward. Look at him right down here. I mean, he's really making an effort to go forward, to see what's going to be the future, and holding on to his sturdy staff. So that's the eventual outcome for Elaine Chao. She won't stop. Aries, they said it. They told us in the first thing I read to you about who Aries are. That is who Aries are. The Star, the Hermit, and right now a little worried about judgment and news coming out. So couldn't have said it better myself. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I did. It's so much fun when I understand what these cards are saying, and it's such a surprise because I can do this in front of the sofa and I don't, it doesn't even make a sentence to me. But the cards like this, when you look at them, for me they're like a cartouche you would see in an Egyptian tomb where one depiction has several symbols inside of it, and when you string them all together, they make a sentence. And that's what this is to me. So I hope it's interesting to you. It's a ton of fun, if you can't tell, for me. And I'll just say that I'm Mark. This is my journey through tarot. I really appreciate you stop by to take the journey with me. And I'll see you next time. Ciao for now.